Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the channel. This is Red Dissection. I'm breaking down Manchester United victory against Everton FC at Old Trafford 2-0. United limped to a 2-0 victory against Everton FC with two penalties from Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. This is probably the ugliest victory I've seen at Old Trafford for Manchester United. We were dominated by Everton, a poor Everton side. And to be honest, the last three matches, home fixtures against Fulham and Everton, and the loss against Manchester City at Etihad, United played the same kind of football. They lacked any ideas. They lacked any quality on the ball, any kind of cohesion in midfield and up front. The difference was in all three matches. According to me, down to the quality of the opposition. Obviously, Manchester City with the likes of Foden and Haaland punished us, even though other teams also dominated, like Everton. They didn't have the quality or the cutting edge. Fulham had enough quality, especially on the counter attack, to punish us. Basically, we've been getting away with it for a few months, couple of months, apart from the last two losses. Even in this match, I think it papers over the crack. The writing is on the wall for Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United. There has to be parting of the way. Until that happens, we'll have to endure this. We'll have to sleep through it or tolerate this, because the football is going to be boring. The results are going to be fluctuating between worse and worse. I think the next two fixtures are against Liverpool, both in the league after the international break, and before that, the next week FA Cup fixture at Old Trafford. I think we could be humbled in that match and humiliated. And until the international window, I think that could be a point of break for Eric Ten Hag. Though I doubt that Jim Ratcliffe or Jim Glazer is going to make any changes before the summer. But let's wait and see till next week. Even Stevens, in terms of possession of the ball, I thought Everton played better football. They had more cohesion in midfield. Up front also, they physically dominated us, but our back line did have a good game in terms of keeping them out. Onana had a decent game as well, but our midfield and forward line were completely absent. There wasn't any quality on the ball, or even gumption to press the opposition. It was an easy game for Everton, and I think if they had better quality, maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin in form, who hasn't scored for 5 months, I think could have been a different result. Everton had 16 shots in our box, or more than 20 attempts. I think it is just the story of a season, and the story of the fag end of the managerial career of Eric Ten Hag at Manchester United. I think it has gone beyond the pale. There is no turning back. I think even the players have that idea that we are just biding our time till the final snap, and it could be next week, or we'll have to tolerate it till the end of the season. But this has to end, and because this is probably the worst football that I've seen at Old Trafford and Manchester United play, especially since I've been watching for the last 2 decades. Onana had a decent game on the ball. He was all right. He was solid in the box in terms of handling the ball on the corners, or just punching them away. He took some risk in terms of enticing the forwards, and trying to get ball through the midfield. But that's his game. I think he's confident in that. I think he's cutting out mistakes. Last week, I think the second City goal was his mistake. I think he's a lot better than he was at the start of the season, and long may it continue. Diogo Dalot also had a decent game. Defensively, he was solid. Attacking wise, we know that he's a good ball carrier. He's got good close control. His final product isn't there as it should be, but I think he's certainly one of our more consistent performers this season. Probably our best performer this season, apart from Hoyland, who's been in a purple patch before he went off injured. So I think so. Another good game from Dalot. Johnny Evans played in the right centre back position, which is quite strange because he's left footed. I think he's probably the man of the match. He was solid throughout, dealt with Beto and Doucouré, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin when he came on in the second half. I thought he was good on the ball, good, made judicious use of the ball, and didn't commit any kind of mistake. So a decent game from Evans. Rafael Varane was defensively all right, but we know his limitation with the ball. He was shoddy in terms of possession. He kept giving up the ball in midfield and even on the flanks. Some of his passes were suicidal, and some of them went straight for throw-ins. So that is a big limiting factor with him. I think in the summer we'll probably look to move on and buy another right centre back, and probably get rid of Varane as well as one of Maguire and Lindelof. Lindelof had a decent game. I thought defensively he was solid. Obviously, attacking wide, he only had one play, which is getting the ball back to Onana from his right foot. Obviously, he's naturally right-footed, so he couldn't move down the flank. Nor did Rashford provide any kind of help or support for him. I thought Rashford had a bad game, and that was one of the factors that on the left hand side we were completely devoid of any ideas and completely crippled in terms of attacking play. Coming to midfield, Casemiro had a poor game. He's just not good enough on the ball. He'll probably not get into the relegation size in terms of his passing. Obviously, his anticipation was decent. He made some interception, made good tackles, but there has to be more than that. And his use of the ball is absolutely atrocious. He competes with the Bruno in terms of probably the worst passer of the ball in the team. So another bad game for Casemiro. Firmino, I think, is getting lost with so many matches. I don't think physically he's ready, and the more he plays, his game seems a little raw. He lacks ideas in terms of being consistent with the use of the ball, especially with the forward passes. I think he lacks that bravery on the ball, probably because the team hasn't been doing well, especially in the last 2 weeks. So I won't be too harsh, but certainly his game has taken a hit in the last 2 weeks. I think maybe down to fitness. I think he just needs some rest probably, and until the end of the season, I probably don't see him taking his game up a notch. I think he's going to be sinusoidal and up and down kind of form with Copameno, and that's what we have to do because he's a young player and we have to be patient with him. Alejandro Garnacho was the most threatening offensive player for us. He won us the two penalties. Good play for him. But technically, he's just horrendous. His first touch, his passing is absolutely atrocious. I have to give him like a decent amount of points on the board, but honestly, he's just not good enough, and he probably not get into any of the top sides as winger because he's got pace and he's got physicality and he can run about. But in terms of his technical output, he's absolutely garbage. And the more I see of him, I think the more it's obvious that it's probably down to the fact that all our other wingers are even worse than him and completely out of form. So he has to play, and he keeps on playing. So with him, I think it's a zero sum game. He'll just have to take the odd goals and penalties and assists that he can muster. The others aren't providing right now, and probably next season we can find a proper right-sided player and he can probably play on the left-hand side where he's a lot better. I think on the day he was less bad than all other players, so he gets good score. Bruno Fernandes scored a good penalty. I think in the last two matches he's played as a false nine kind of a striker, especially in terms of defensive shape. He's probably the most advanced player, which has come as a surprise. But in terms of his gameplay, because he's so suicidal with the ball, he's just so erratic with his passing. I think he needs to be taken out of the build up, and that has slightly helped in terms of his game. So he gets better than his average score, but we all know that he's just not good enough for this club. Marcus Rashford was unforgivable. He's indictment of the state of affairs for the club for the last 10 years. He doesn't even try. He doesn't even run. He can hardly contest for a header. He got a penalty. That was a gift from Bruno that he allowed him to take that second penalty. But that penalty doesn't let him off the hook. He gets the lowest possible score of 1, and he truly deserves that. Scott McTominay played in the front line with Bruno Fernandes. He's probably vying for the worst player on the pitch with Marcus Rashford. He cannot make a 2-yard pass. That's clear for everybody to see. And like with Bruno, I think the only reason he's looked slightly better in the last two matches is only because that we don't see much of him because he's not involved in build up, and he's just losing the ball without any kind of duress and just gives away the possession of the ball to the other team. He can't make a simple square pass, let alone a good raking ball or incisive through pass. I think with him, he needs to be sold. I think it's a scathing indictment for academy that the likes of Rashford and Scott McTominay are the ones who are carrying that flag for the Manchester United academy, the hallowed Manchester United academy. Coming to substitution, Anthony came on in the second half. Didn't do much. Didn't get enough time on the ball. Made a good defensive contribution because he tracked back and He tracked back and defended the cross against Mikolenko. He's also not good enough. He's short on confidence. I think he's a broken man right now, broken player. I think if he's gonna survive the summer reshuffle, he needs to work really hard in the preseason coming up, and just prepare for the next season, because for this season I don't think he's going to do anything more than this. Amrabat came on in late. Obviously there's not much you can say about him. He made a mistake against Manchester City that led to the Haaland goal, but he got a suicidal pass from Casemiro, but he did commit that mistake, and he also looks short on confidence. He doesn't have the confidence of the manager. He doesn't have probably that kind of match rhythm, because he doesn't play often. And but I think in this match he was better. He made few tackles, but offensively he doesn't provide anything. His use of the ball isn't great. He usually sticks to the safe passes. He did have a good game against Nottingham Forest, but he didn't play against City, so it's probably difficult in his place to get into a rhythm, get into the set pattern, because he has no idea whether he's going to play the next match, even if he puts in a shift. So a difficult position, but I think his loan won't be continued after this, and until the end of the season, he'll be fortunate to get appreciable time to show any kind of talent, and make any kind of endorsement for his permanent transfer. Willie Kambala came on in late, just like Omari Forson. I just don't see anything in him. He's not good enough. I haven't seen anything apart from the first match against West Ham, where he looked decent for first half and for 60 minutes. I don't see anything in him. He doesn't strike me as a top quality player. His use of the ball isn't great. He usually kicks it long. He's athletic, but I don't think he has got sheer amount of pace or any kind of raw physicality to really dominate the boxes. So I don't see a future with him. But obviously, we need to have young players from academy just to make their quota of homegrown talent, and that's why I think he's been playing. Obviously, the injuries have a role to play in that, and I think if Maguire comes back next week or after the international break, I don't think he'll get many opportunities this season. Eric Ten Hag is a dead man walking. There is no progression. There is no future with him. Even in this match, because the tactics worked against a poor City side for first 60 minutes. Barely, they worked barely because they weren't clinical enough. Haaland missed the sitter. He replicated the same tactics, and we completely dominated in the first half by Everton. I think Everton played one of the worst matches also in terms of the final, in terms of the output in the final third. They didn't show any kind of polish or calmness in the box. Even then, they dominated us in the midfield. They had more than 20 attempts, and that has happened far too many times for my liking, and that points to a systematic failure as a team and as a setup, and that comes down to the manager, and the buck stops with the manager. I think United are already out of the top four race. If the fifth spot gives us Champions League qualification, even then it's if and go, because I don't think Tottenham are playing worse than us. For United, they are so mercurial, they're so unpredictable. We don't know what kind of result we're gonna get from half to half. We are not consistent. We don't have any set philosophy or style of play. It's just harakiri and suicidal football, and we just lack any kind of control. So even if we take the lead in a game, there is no guarantee that we can maintain the lead, because we don't keep the ball. We don't have players with poise on the ball, the kind of bravery and courage to take the ball in their stride and keep the ball. They are glorified Bolton right now, and usually we play with long balls. And I think next week against Liverpool, we could be put to the sword. It's just a matter of time before the X drops on Eric Ten Hag. Until we do that, I don't think we can truly enter into this restructuring that is advertised all over the media and from Jim Glazer. So let's wait and see. We'll have to endure these kind of performances till the end of the season. Maybe get fortunate in the FA Cup and get past Liverpool, and then we are into the semi-finals and Wembley, and maybe we can get past the opponents in the semi-final. But even if we get to the final, I don't think we have the cojones. We have that kind of mental fortitude to win a final in this state of affairs. Sadly, having Hoyland back will help us. I just can't wait for him to be back and get back to his scoring ways. Maybe he'll need more time just to readjust to the rhythm of the match after that injury layoff. But we'll have to wait and see. The FA Cup fixture is on next weekend, Sunday. So we'll try to bring you more episode in our Red Resurrection series, EAFC career mode, and try to continue our road to glory for a possible quadruple. Please join us for that. Until then, take care, do good, pray for Palestinians and all the oppressed people all across the globe. Assalamu alaikum.